This one though, this is the one that I thought was going to stump them. Of all the riddles that we did in the Feywild, this is the riddle I thought was going to stump them. Pass from father to son and share between brothers. Its importance is unquestioned, though it is used more by others. Hey boys, welcome back to Facility D20. My name is Troy.
I'm Mike.
And this is another one of those encounter videos. It's been a minute since we've done one of these.
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
The last time we left off, it was during the big Kraken Battle. So basically what happened there was that the party made a deal with Greyhawk to deal with the ownership of the Kraken later. Yeah. They made an agreement to merge fleets.
We'll come back for that Kraken, don't you worry.
Because they had some serious unfinished business in the Feywild that was like really pressing, and they had to take care of it. So cut to a few sessions later and the party found themselves in the Feywild. And the reason they were there was because of our warlock.
Through his backstory, he had managed to get tied up with a satyr trickster god named Hyrsam, which he made a wager with for the soul of his mother. So he lost his wager with him, and his mother is now residing in the Feywild with Hyrsam. So now, we gotta go get her back.
So that was the plan. So you guys pretty much plane shift into the Feywild because you're all level 16 or 17 at the time.
16.
Yeah, 16 at the time. So they all plane shifted into the Feywild, and we went into this like really supernatural, beautiful realm. And I as a DM envision the Feywild as being very like Avatar-like.
Yeah. Colorful
plants and beautiful landscapes and just like surreal sort of atmosphere versus like your traditional forest. So that's what I was trying to come across. So I'm going to take you guys in and show you the table I made and some of the terrain that I used to make this. It was a bunch of jungle plants and it was very bright and colorful. So take a look at this map, and there was also some ruins and stuff too. It was pretty cool. This table setup was pretty fun. The tile on the bottom is from the Citadel Realms of Battle table. The ruins and the dragon bones are from Battlefield in the Box pre-painted terrain. It's very cool stuff, but it's a little fragile. If you drop it, it's easy to break. The jungle terrain I made myself. I'm going to link the video up here in the corner. It's made from a bunch of aquarium plants with some bases. It's pretty cool. And I've got some WizKids pre-painted miniatures in there and a few other miniatures. This piece is pretty cool because it's got some old dinosaur bones in it, like the dragons that killed it at one point. So guys, I want to take a minute and ask you guys to subscribe if you like this type of content and if you want to see more of it. I'm making a real push for 2,000 subscribers by July, and I would really like to see you guys come on board, chat to me in the comments, and just stick around. I do a lot of cool stuff on this channel, and I'm excited to grow this channel and this little community. Okay, so how did you like that table? Did you think
that was crazy? Like you said, you really captured the whole Avatar feel. It was like bright neon colors. Everything was so starkly different from where we were to. It was constantly daytime, which threw us off a lot. Yeah. But one of the fun things to do, and I suggest anybody who's playing a druid would actively do this to your DM, is every time I saw a different kind of plant, I would try to talk to it. I would communicate with plants or speak to plants, and I made them come up with all different kinds of accents and personalities.
I was doing a lot of RPing through a plant.
Yeah.
I kind of threw me as a DM a little bit. It was like, I'm going to talk to this plant and that plant. What's that plant? I'm going to talk to that plant.
Look, you're a plant, an inanimate object.
Does this look inanimate to you, punk?
But it was fun because you got some information that helped you navigate the situation.
Yeah.
So when they first landed, of course, they had no idea where to go, so they just went that way, and they just went that way. So they trekked through the Feywild for the first night, and then the bard decided to set up the mansion. What's it called?
That is the Magnificent Mansion. And there's some famous wizard's name on it, but I can't remember. Can't remember. My head.
It's like somebody like one of like the big bees type of.
Yeah, the Circle of Eight.
Yeah, one of those dudes. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Probably starts with an M because it probably rhymes.
Yeah.
We're gonna look it up, and I'm gonna put it here somewhere.
Yeah. But yeah, we set up the mansion, and we went in, and for our bard's mansion in particular, it just was a big old dive bar.
Yep. just typical for the ringers.
Yeah.
So the fun part was though, in the morning they sat down for this big breakfast prepared by all the spectral entities in the mansion. And what they wasn't anticipating, and what kind of I threw in there to catch them off guard, they were all eating and they looked down the table, and at the end of the table was somebody they didn't recognize, and it wasn't one of the spectral figures, it was actually Hyrsam. And he was just sat there eating away with the breakfast, and they were kind of like, I think it threw you guys because you're like, how did he get in there?
We were like, we're here, no one can get at us, we're safe. It's like we can rest easy, have a nice meal, and then start off looking for Hyrsam. He found us.
Yeah, and that was pretty much me as a DM breaking the rules for the cool factor. I was like, nah, he's a trickster god, they're in the Feywild, he's just gonna go into that mansion, I don't care. But the idea wasn't for me to go in and ambush you guys and kill you there, because he didn't want that. The reason the warlock was there was to challenge him for a dance-off.
Yeah.
That's like, they went to the Feywild to do a dance-off.
It was straight from Guardians of the Galaxy's dancing to save the world.
Exactly.
What are you doing?
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
So after that, Hyrsam kind of said, you got to meet us on the final stage, and the performance will happen on the final stage. So what I did after that is when they went back into the Feywild, I had a very shifting sort of landscape. So like north was south and south was east and east was west, and it was always changing and evolving. So they had to find their way, and how I would kind of like set them straight is that Hyrsam would appear to them, or he would speak to them telepathically and supply them with a riddle. And if they were to guess that riddle, then they would find the direction. So I think I kind of ticked Mike off a little bit.
Because I managed to cast the 1 6th level spell that is the most useless spell in the game, Find the Path. And that pretty much just is about as useless as it sounds.
Yeah. So I kind of felt a little bit bad, because I was like, this spell is going to ruin like this entire session, like the whole thing. I'm like, so what I did though is I did allow it to come into play, and we'll get to that. So I did allow it to come into play. So we had some fun riddles, so I'm going to read them off to you guys who like riddles. So the first one that popped up was, I have a tail, a head, but no legs. I am probably with you now. What am I? So, of course, the answer, do you remember?
It's a coin.
It's a coin. So it's a coin. So that one only took about a minute or so to get. And that's the thing about riddles. If you're running riddles as a DM, the party's either going to go, boom, got them, or they're going to get stuck.
Oh yeah, I have ran riddles in my games before, especially with the bard in our group.
He's good at it, yeah.
Yeah, our buddy Harvey. Oh my god, he's like, I don't know, he must just look him up for fun at home. Because the second I come up with like the hardest riddle I could come up with, it'd be like, I was like, okay, they're gonna take like 25 minutes to do this riddle. It'd be like, 10 seconds, done.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, my session just got real short.
Yeah, so as a DM tip, be careful with riddles. They can either go really poorly or super quick. So you can't anticipate like a drawn-out thing with them. So of course, then the path kind of cleared, your spell kicked in a little bit, and you found a direction. They went another little ways, they went through a forest until you finally came through a system of caves. And the caves were like, they were presented like 50 doors to this cave. And the riddle, they were presented with a riddle, and once they solved the riddle, the 50 doors into one door, and you picked the direction. So then it came up, the riddle was, I am an eye set in a blue face, my gaze feeds the world, if I go blind, so does this world. That was a fairly easy one.
Yeah, it's the sun.
It's the sun. So after they got that one, through the caves and the tunnels they went. Now I made these very like photoluminescent mushrooms in there and bright lights and stuff. So they got through the cave. They also kind of got distracted by some will-o-wisp and stuff.
Well, you tried to.
Try to, yeah.
We were like, no, I don't trust anything here. And then I can't remember who was it that tried to go after it.
The bard tried to catch one in a bottle.
Yes, he did. He tried to catch one in the bottle, and we had to drag him out. And we're like, don't trust anything in the Feywild.
Yeah,
nothing.
Somebody did. I can't remember because it's been a few months, but somebody did kind of wander off, and you dragged them back.
Yeah.
Will-o-wisp are fun in the Feywild. And then, of course, you went a little longer, and you came to like a big open plains sort of situation, and you were kind of lost in there until you were presented with the next riddle, which was, what has 6 legs but walks on only 4? So that one was a little tougher.
I think we got that one pretty quick too.
Yeah.
It's, the answer is a man on a horse.
But it wasn't the bird that got it this time. Somebody else got it.
That
Because
was me.
I stumped him. Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
oh, he didn't get it super fast. So that was fun. So we continued with this evolving landscape situation. It was a very like travel-based session. And then we had another riddle. This one was pretty fun too. The rich want it, the poor have it, and both will perish if they eat it.
And the answer is nothing.
Nothing. This one though, this is the one that I thought was going to stump him. Of all the riddles that we did in the Feywild, this is the riddle I thought was going to stump him. Pass from father to son and share between brothers. Its importance is unquestioned, though it is used more by others. So it was a name.
Yes.
So it was a name. That was the one that I thought was going to stump you, but it didn't really. But overall, some of them went super quick, and some of them took a little bit of talking back and forth, which they went pretty good. So using riddles went well this time.
Yeah.
Poor other times for me, but well this time. So finally, these guys come out into an opening where there was a bones of a dead dragon. So while they were inspecting the bones of the dead dragon, it turned out it was a fairy dragon. And you guys were so distracted with inspecting the bones, and I think somebody rolled like a natural 1 on their stealth too.
I think that might have been Bakai.
Yeah, the warlock. Essentially, they had stumbled into what was now the lair of 2 adult green dragons.
Uh-oh.
The dragons kind of ambushed them for the most part, and
Yeah.
you didn't get a surprise round or anything like that. So like one came out, and you guys were like, "Oh shit, a dragon!" And then like the next round, the second one showed up, and you're like, "Oh shit, 2
You're like,
dragons."
Oh, uh-oh.
But I can tell you this now, man. At 16th level, you can take that monster manual and just go, whoof.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna, those guys could have whooped that dragon in 1 round.
There's
Easy 1 round at all.
There's a combo that will be in another video in the future that our bard pulled off, that we ran the numbers on, that
Yep.
could have one-shot one of those dragons
Yep.
from the monster
The
manual
bard
stats.
could have one-shotted them. So what I did as a DM at this point, at this level, I just throw that out the window. Everything gets extra dice damage, and everything gets way more hit points. Now I don't do that, like I'm not going to throw a goblin at you with like 75 hit points.
Yeah.
At this point, but like a dragon, I'm like, okay, it's 2 adult green dragons. There's got to be like
A hard encounter.
So it was a well fought battle, but I think what saved them was the fact that they were actually green dragons, because the monk was resistant to the poison breath. Immune to the poison breath. Yes, totally immune. And
I was immune to it in my air elemental form.
yeah, so you went to an air elemental form and got totally immune to it.
Yep.
And then we got a couple of, the rogue was evasion, getting 0 damage. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, it actually was really tough to hurt the party with these dragons.
Yeah.
When it was all said and done, I think somebody took a few licks, the warlock took a few licks, and the bard took a few licks, but I would say it turned out to be more of a medium encounter.
Yeah.
I planned it to be a hard encounter, it just didn't.
I remember coming out of that encounter and still having gas in the tank.
Yeah.
Still having like my higher level spell slots were still there, and and I wasn't even knocked out of my wall shape.
No, it wasn't. So that was the big fight in the Feywild, and I thought green dragon. I was going to use fairy dragons first, but I thought green dragons would be fun to do. So now the party was a little drained when they finally got to their destination, an allied druid who lived in a boot house. So you're going to want to stick around and hit subscribe, because that video is coming up next.